Morning, everyone. This month, we're chanting the morning bell chant, which you can find on page 3. If you feel comfortable, chant along. I'll chant the beginning, and then when it comes to homage to Amitabha Buddha, that's when you kind of echo that and chant along to your. And after we do the morning bell chant, we will observe noble silence. Vowing that the sound of this bell pervades the universal Dharma realm, bringing luminous white light to the black iron perimeter of hell, removing in an instant the suffering caused by the 3 evil ways. A mountain of swords is destroyed, and all sentient beings enter enlightenment together. Homage to the Master Teacher, Vairocana Buddha, compassionate Lord of the lotus-born universe, expounding the treasured verses of sacred golden texts contained within precious cases, written on jade scrolls. Each dust mote interpenetrates, and the universe becomes one. Every realm is united with all other worlds. The truth is contained in the 1,095,048 words of the utmost vehicle's consummate teaching. Homage to the Abhitamsaka Sutra, expounded by the Buddha. To understand the Buddhas of endless time, just penetrate this phrase: everything is created by mind alone. The mantra of shattering hell: Namu Atashijinam Samyak Samotajichinam Om Baba Jiri Jiri Hum. Namo Atashijinam Samyak Samotajichinam Om Maja Baba Jiri Jiri Hum. Namo Atashijinam Samyak Samotajichinam Om Abhajajabiri Jiri Hum. Vowing now for the rest of my life not to give rise to extraneous thoughts, following only Amitabha Buddha. Thought after thought will constantly merge with the rays of his jade-like brilliance, each instant never leaving the qualities of his golden form. Holding a mala and bearing witness to the universal Dharma realm, empty space is but a thread leaving nothing unconnected. There is nowhere that Vairocana Buddha is not present equally. Through contemplation, seek Amitabha of the Western Shore. Homage to the great teaching master, Lord of the Western Shore, the Buddha, the Tathagata of infinite light. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. The land of ultimate bliss has 10 kinds of adornment. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Buddha. It is adorned with Dharmakara's vow, his cultivation cause. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the power of Amitabha's 48 vows. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with Amitabha's name and the brilliance of his life force. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the bejeweled images observed by the 3 Mahasattvas. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the peaceful bliss of Amitabha's Western world. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with bejeweled rivers running with pure and meritorious waters. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with bejeweled basilicas with halls of wish-fulfilling jewels. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with lengthy days and nights. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the Pure Land's 24 kinds of pleasures. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the 30 kinds of beneficial merit. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha Buddha, who is unparalleled in heaven or on earth. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He is also unmatched throughout the world of the 10 directions. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He has seen the annihilation of self and everything in the world. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. There is no one who is like Amitabha Buddha. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He can keep track of thoughts as numerous as all the dust motes in the universe. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He can quaff all the waters in the universe. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He can control the wind that fills space. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. No one can completely describe that Buddha's merits. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha Buddha is omnipresent. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Keep your thoughts on him and never forget. As thoughts probe that place of no thought, the 6 sense gates will constantly emanate light of purple and gold. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha's face, like the full moon, is at the front of the hall of ultimate bliss. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. His jade excrescence and his gold form radiate through space. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. If a person call his name for only a moment, they will instantly consummate immeasurable merit. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Buddha, along with all sentient beings, I vow to enter the sea of Amitabha's great vows and to ferry across sentient beings so that I and others may simultaneously complete the path to Buddhahood. The sublime mantra of the original mind of Amitabha Buddha. Tanyata Om Aritara Savaha. Tanyata Om Aritara Savaha. Anyata Om Aritara Savaha. Anyata Om Aritara Savaha. Anyata Om Aritara Savaha. Tanyata Om Aritara Savaha. Tanyata Om Aritara Savaha.
I would like to invite the incense lighters to come up to the dais. And if everyone would look into their chant book, inside the front cover should be the incense offering that we will recite together. And I wanted to say, oftentimes at service, like you have to hold something to read at the same time you're chanting. So what we do here on the altar when we're sounding the bell is we put one hand in prayer and then hold the sheet with the other. So that's a good way to do it rather than trying to hold it like that. Just showed one hand. In gratitude, we offer this incense throughout space and time to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May it be fragrant as earth herself, reflecting careful efforts, wholehearted awareness, and the fruits of understanding slowly ripening. May we and all beings be companions of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May we awaken from forgetfulness and realize our true home. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Kunga Nyima. I'm one of the Dharma teachers here. It's wonderful to see you all here on this warm day. A few courtesy announcements to start the service. Families with small children are welcome to use the downstairs area for their needs. There's a water fountain down there also. If you find there's a need for seats or family members who would like to sit together, please adjust your seat accordingly. Remind Sangha members not to walk in front of the dais during service. If you need to use the restroom, just go around the back. The bathrooms are right over there. We chant at a medium upbeat tempo to breathe life into the sutras. So it's not meant to be a funeral dirge, but to be uplifted. Yeah? So I'd like to invite you all to stand and greet each other silently. And we are going to start our service with page 7 in the chant book, the 3 refuges. I go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and compassion, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of mindful living, leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I am aware that the 3 jewels are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving kindness and compassion and to practice joy and equanimity. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I am aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly, so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. If you turn your chant book over, page 8, we'll chant the Heart Sutra together, starting with the title. Dhamma Rajya Paramita Vedaya Sutra The Bodhisattva of great compassion from the living practice of Prajna Paramita receive the emptiness of all 5 skandhas and deliver all beings from their suffering. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is emptiness, emptiness form.
The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse, and consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They are not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind, no realm of sight, no realm of consciousness, no ignorance, nor extinction of ignorance, no old age and death, nor extinction of them, no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cease from suffering, no path to lead out of suffering, no knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but prajna, paramita. Therefore the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance there is no fear. Away from all perverted views, one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in prajna, paramita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then the prajna, paramita, is the great Dharani, the radiant, fearless mantra, the utmost supreme mantra, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the prajna, paramita. Gate, gate, hara gate, hara samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, hara gate, hara samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, hara gate, hara samgate, bodhisvaha. Dhamma prajna paramita vedaya sutra.
Morning. So to begin my talk today, I have a little short statement. Some people might have questioned, or at least we got some questions on Facebook about today's topic, which is the introduction to the Heartside Mindfulness school of Mahayana Buddhism, which is going to be the tradition that we're practicing here at the temple. And people were like, "Oh no, they're changing their name again," but we're not. So so this little beginning part here is a short history of the temple, to give you a sense of why we felt like it was necessary to clarify what the tradition is that we practice here is. Okay. So in 2011, the Grand Rapids Zen and Buddhist Temple was established under the guidance of our founding teacher, a fully ordained abbot with the Korean Buddhist Taego order. In August of 2013, we resigned from the Korean Buddhist Taego order, citing policy disagreements to become an independent temple. We continued the Korean Buddhist Taego order. We continued many of the same rituals that the Korean Buddhist Taego order did, while adding more from the other Mahayana traditions. In 2018, our founding teacher left the temple, and in 2020, the temple closed in-person Sunday services in response to the COVID pandemic. During this time, we continued to provide virtual talks, and also our board began to meet and to discuss realigning the temple structure according to our bylaws. As Dharma teachers resigned and temple leaders and founding Sangha members initiated a plan to clarify who we are and who we serve. In October of 2022, we changed our name to the Grand Rapids Buddhist Temple. That was just this fall. And this talk is one of a series which will introduce you to how we are redefining our temple, our practice, based on the foundational teachings of the Dharma, as we reestablish our temple as the Heartside Mindfulness School of Mahayana Buddhism. That was a lot to take in, but I'm gonna touch on a lot of those things again throughout my talk. Okay. So the Buddha is fond of using similes, and so I have one written out here to set the tone for today's talk. Just as a cook or a chef prepares a meal carefully by selecting ingredients from their pantry which are healthy and complementary of each other, to create a meal which is pleasing and nutritious for the human body, so the Grand Rapids Buddhist Temple strives to present a spiritual meal prepared from the teachings, traditions, and philosophy of the Buddha, which is healthy and supportive of the Sangha's spiritual body. So last month, I'm not going to read anymore. So last month, I talked about mindfulness. And I'm going to be talking a little bit more about mindfulness as I sort of unwrap this package of who we are. See how did I get from here to there? I want you to go back to think about that simile of cooking. You know, in your own house, when you cook stuff for dinner, you probably base those meals on different causes and conditions, as we like to say in Buddhism. So my wife and I, when we cook at home, you know, the main thing that determines what we're going to eat is what's already in the pantry, right? For the most part, we're not shopping for every meal. We're just basically buying up supplies at the beginning of the week and then using those ingredients to provide our meals every week. So Teresa and I are vegan, so this reflects what's on the menu. We instead of eating like traditional American meals like burgers and chili and lasagna, we have black bean burgers, and we have cashew chili, and we have barbecue tempeh instead of barbecue ribs, you know? So it's similar, but it's different. So with the temple here, when we changed our name from the Grand Rapids Buddhist Temple to just the Grand Rapids Temple, we were really doing two things. The first thing we were saying was that Zen was not going to be the primary driver of what we provided here at the temple. You know, it wasn't going to determine everything that we provided. We were going to look at the much bigger picture of the Mahayana Buddhism and what's involved in that. And then the second question was, if we weren't going to use Zen as like the compass to orient us, what were we going to use? And so basically what we're using is the Sangha, is you, us. You know, our 11 histories of practicing in this space. I think that's the main reason we're calling it the Heartside Mindfulness School of Mahayana Buddhism. You know, to indicate the importance of this Sangha and what we've done over here in the past and what we want to do in the future is determining what our traditions are going to be. So in order to unpack or talk about, what we provide, what are we drawing from the spiritual pantry to provide our meals here at the temple, I wanted to introduce the idea of a Buddha with 3 bodies. Okay. So we have 3 Buddhas behind me. So I want you to think of this as the Buddha's physical body. This is the Buddha's teaching body. And then here, this big one, the Buddha's wisdom body. All right. So the Buddha's physical body is basically everything that we perceive through our sense organs. Everything that we see, we hear, we feel, we smell. That's the Buddha's physical body in this idea. So when you come to our temple, probably the first thing you notice is our location. Here we are, kind of like in a strip mall next to a coffee shop, a very humble location. Contrast that to St. Andrew's Cathedral, right? My wife is Catholic, and I also go to Catholic Mass with her. And so during the pandemic, we always did participate in the St. Andrew's Mass online. If we were to go to Asia, we could find many Buddhist temples that had the grandeur and scale of St. Andrew's Cathedral, right? The difference is that, Buddhism has been in those Asian countries for thousands of years. And it's been here in the United States maybe 70 years, right? Maybe since the 1950s, really. So it's a very young religion here. And we're really deciding right now what Buddhism looks like in America. What are our traditions going to be? And we decided as a Sangha, back in 2013, they weren't going to be Korean Zen. That wasn't what we were going to be. So as you walk into our space, you're encountering the physical body of the Buddha in the form of these cushions, which are lined up here on the floor, facing the dais, facing our pretty elaborate shrine. I would say that, while our origins, you can see our Zen origins, we've really elaborated on that over the years. Traditionally, a Zen temple is much more simple than this. A simpler altar, fewer paintings, I think. Probably wouldn't have these Chinese lanterns hanging from the ceiling, Tibetan prayer flags in the basement. All this variety and richness of texture and variety is really part of our Mahayana tradition, sort of an expansion from Zen. If you think of Zen art, we have that Enso right there. That's a Zen painting. You can see the simplicity of it. Right? And then look at these paintings on the back wall. All the color and the variety, the different images of the bodhisattvas, the wrathful bodhisattva there with the flames and the fierce gesture. Very different. Zen is associated with like haikus and simple poetry, just a few lines. The koan, which Shinkyu talks about, very simple stories. Where in the Mahayana tradition, broader tradition, we have the Lotus Sutra with Shinkyu Gajisu talked about last week, which is a much bigger, broader vision. I was thinking if we were thinking movies, maybe Zen would be like a black and white silent film, okay? And if there were subtitles, they'd be like in Japanese or Korean. Okay? And the Mahayana experience is like a 3D or a 4D movie, surround sound, rumble seats, everything, okay? The Lotus Sutra, what Gajisu was describing last week, is just full of these millions and billions of bodhisattvas and Buddhas and mythological cosmic beings rising up from the earth, all kinds of wonderful and amazing things really happening there. Okay. So we've decided to embrace that bigger vision. There is something to that imagination in that scope of the Mahayana vision, which is really, I think, really meaningful and helpful to us. So that's what we see in the temple, physically seeing. There's also what we're hearing. We're hearing chants. These chants are Zen in origin. Especially that morning bell chant that Gajasu led us in. That's right from the Korean Taego order that we've kept. The 3 refuges, the Heart Sutra, the closing gathas, those are all part of traditional Zen services. In Soto Zen, Shuji's group that I sit with on Fridays sometimes do all those chants, in a slightly different way, but they're still the same chants. So those chants are part of the physical body of the Buddha, but they also a nice way to move into the teaching body of the Buddha. So the teaching body of the Buddha is what we are hearing in the chants, what the chants mean, what those are telling us about Buddhism. The first thing they're telling us is the Mahayana vision is that the goal of Buddhism is to seek the reduction of suffering and the promotion of happiness for all beings, not just ourselves, but for everyone. Okay? And that's why it's the Heartside Mindfulness Mahayana school of Buddhism, because we're embracing that bigger picture. The mindfulness part of that, like I talked about that pretty extensively last week, but I wanted to touch on that a little bit. So when we're talking about mindfulness of our body, mindfulness of our feelings, mindfulness of our thoughts, and mindfulness of our emotions. And these really are all also part of the physical body of the Buddha, okay? Because our bodies and the other bodies in the world, those are all the physical bodies of the Buddha in this image. The feelings that we have about whether or not something is pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, those are feelings we're having about the physical body of the Buddha. The emotions that we're having, whether we're happy or sad or distracted or bored, those are our feelings about the physical body of the Buddha. And our thoughts also, our thoughts about whether or not what we're doing right now is helping us building our spiritual practice, or whether or not we can recognize this as somehow a hindrance and something that should be avoided. We're really talking about things that exist in the physical world, For example, I'm watching something on TV, is that something that's supporting my practice, by the thoughts that it creates in my head, or is there something that's creating a distraction in my process, maybe my practice, maybe something that's encouraging me to act in unhealthy ways. So that's one part of mindfulness. That's the bare awareness. The other part that I talked about last week or last month was clear contemplation. Now, clear contemplation has to do more with the teaching body of the Buddha. So it's nice. The mindfulness of the practice can kind of combine these physical body of the Buddha and the teaching body of the Buddha together. So clear comprehension is looking at the physical world through the lens of impermanence, suffering, and non-self. So impermanence is just the idea that nothing lasts. All the people here are getting older. We're going to get sick, and eventually we're all going to pass away. All the things, objects in this room are going to get used. They're going to break. They're going to get worn out. We're going to send them to the landfill. So that's impermanence, like in a nutshell, right? And of course, this impermanence is causing us suffering. This impermanence of the physical body of the Buddha causes us suffering. We get attached. We fall in love with people and even things like our car or something. And then when it breaks down and has to be thrown away, or when a person passes away, that causes us suffering. And then the third part is the idea of not self. And so the not self comes in, and if we understand not self, this can actually lessen our suffering. So the not self is the understanding that everything that exists is really a combination of elements. There's no single thing there. Like even myself, you look at me as a solid body here, but really I couldn't exist without all these different things that are seen and unseen. So I couldn't exist here without my parents, without my mother who gave birth to me. I wouldn't exist here without all the education and experiences of life that brought me here. I wouldn't exist here without the bones and the blood and the organs that are keeping my body alive, which you can't see. So there's no single thing in Buddhism. There's no belief that there's this eternal, permanent, unending soul that's kind of manifesting it. It's just all these causes and conditions coming together. So this is going to move us into the idea of the Buddha's wisdom body. Okay? Because the wisdom body is really about the physical body and the teaching body, and how do we combine those together so to lessen our suffering in life. The primary sutra that we incorporate in our practice here at the temple, the wisdom sutra that we use, is the Heart Sutra. Okay, so the Heart Sutra is the heart of the Heartside Mindfulness school of Mahayana Buddhism. So when we chant the Heart Sutra today, we said form is emptiness and emptiness is form. Form is not other than emptiness. Emptiness is not other than form. So form is the Buddha's physical body. Everything that we see, everything we hear, everything we taste, everything we touch, everything we think about. Emptiness is the reminder that all those things are the result of causes and conditions. That there is no one thing there. It's really one thing that's made up of many things. In one of Dogen's essays, he talks about jumping from our view from the one to the many, and then back from the many to the one. That's sort of the idea of Buddhism. Even though we are these many things, we still interact with each other as one thing. So this idea of form is really important to our practice because of the way it interacts with emptiness. And I think the idea here is that we are called through mindfulness to appreciate the sacredness of each moment, because each moment is temporary. It's not going to last. Each moment of thought is already gone. We're already moved on to the next thought. Each moment of interaction with a friend or a loved one or even a stranger, it's usually a brief interaction before we move on to something else. And even if it's not, that person is constantly changing as things go by. So the wisdom part of the practice is really generating this feeling of experience of sacredness for everything that exists, because we recognize that everything is impermanent, and this impermanence means it's going to leave us, and it's going to probably cause us some pain and suffering. But that's okay, because that's how life is. That's the way the world interacts. So I want to go back to the meal simile here. So when we're cooking our spiritual meal here at the Grand Rapids Buddhist Temple, we can think of it as providing Mahayana dishes with a flavor of Zen and a flavor of Tibetan Buddhism, and some other flavors kind of mixed in there, little seasonings here and there of different things. The Zen I've talked a lot about. I didn't talk much about the Buddhist or the Tibetan side of it, but our practice of Lojong is very much Tibetan. When we do the Lojong chant, that's a Tibetan practice. So when we're making a meal at our house, we can think of the form as all the ingredients needed to make the meal. And the emptiness is kind of like the recipe that we're going to follow to make this meal something that's nutritious and healthy. So I was thinking about this because I was making black bean burgers on Friday night, and I got the can of beans, and I got the vegetable broth, onions, celery, chili powder, cumin, rice, and I'm going to mix all these things together, right? But it's not random, right? If I don't go in the right order, I'm not going to end up with black bean burgers, So I have to saute the onions and the celery, add the spices, cumin and chili powder, then add the rice, then add the beans, then add the vegetable broth, and that it's a simmer till all the water is absorbed. Then when it's cool, you have to add oat flour to it and make patties, but you got to wait till it's cool, right? Otherwise it's way too hot to touch. And then I usually cook it up in some olive oil, just to kind of brown it on both sides, and that's the finished meal. If I didn't make them into patties, it wouldn't be black bean burgers, right? It would just be black beans and rice. So I have to follow the rules. In the temple here, we're trying to follow the recipe of the Heartside school of Mahayana Buddhism. So when you come in the front door, and we ask that you remove your shoes, and we ask you to bow to the space, we're encouraging you to show reverence to the physical body of the Buddha here in the space. Then as you walk in and you sit down on your cushion and you bow again and prepare yourself to listen to the chants and experience the chants, the morning bell chant, we're basically encouraging you to experience the sacred presence of the Buddha's teaching body and his physical body together, because we're hearing the chants and we're also saying them, and the chants themselves are the Buddha's teaching body. And then after we provide that chant, and we're just sitting here silently in noble silence, waiting for the service to start at 10, we're touching on the wisdom body of the Buddha, because we're using mindfulness to get in touch with what's going on with us, maybe bringing our attention to our breath, considering how this idea of emptiness and form, how they kind of fit together in our life. And then as the service continues, we kind of repeat those things, right? We do more bowing, we do more chanting, we do more sitting and listening. So that's like chewing the food, like eating the meal together with us. Okay? So I wanted to wrap this talk up by saying that these three bodies of the Buddha are not attached to this space. This is just a perspective on life that you can take with you as you leave, like a to-go meal, all right? Everything you see out in the real world, outside of these doors, is the Buddha's physical body. Everything you hear, everything you taste, touch, feel, think about. As you apply the Buddha's thinking, the Buddha's teachings, the Buddha's teaching body to this experience, seeing how, starting with bare awareness, really just being aware of what's going on in the moment, what you're seeing, what you're feeling about it, what kind of emotions that's generating, and what you think about that. And then start to think about applying impermanence, suffering, no self, those concepts to what's going on. Then you're starting to touch on the wisdom body. So the importance is that you're doing this all the time. It's not something we just come to service and we do. It's only meaningful if you do it throughout your whole life. Whenever you're awake, you're being conscious of what's going on in life, how this moment is impermanent, so it's sacred, how this moment is an experience of many different things, cause and conditions coming together at this moment. And then how there's not really any idea I have of the way things should be or shouldn't be is really just extra. They're really just what's going on. That's what's really important. So when we're out there in the world, we're always eating, okay? We never stop consuming what's going on in the world. We're always seeing things, hearing things, and thinking about things. So by using our mindfulness, we can make a decision not to eat everything. We don't have to give ourselves indigestion. We can take a break. We can decide what's going to be consumed and what's not going to be consumed. We're not just passive. And that's what the recipe of the Buddhist tradition that we are practicing and teaching here at the temple. That's what the Heartside Mindfulness School of Mahayana means. That we can be active participants in the world, and we can still develop our spiritual practice through mindfulness and through the other ideas I've kind of talked about today. So, thank you so much. Please prepare yourself for meditation. And we'll touch on that Buddha's wisdom body. If you haven't done meditation before, encourage you to get in a comfortable seated position. We have chairs or on the floor is fine. Try and sit up straight. Think of a string maybe going through your spine and through the top of your head. Put your hands in comfortable position I usually put them on my lap. I think that this kind of position is kind of like an accepting position. It's like I'm just accepting the things the way they are. And then for your point of focus, you can just bring awareness to your breathing as it comes in through your nostrils and then goes back out. Not trying to control it, just trying to experience it. And this is really kind of a focus on developing or stabilizing our ability to be in the moment. So if you start to get distracted by some other types of thoughts or things, as soon as you notice it, just bring your perspective back to your breathing. Don't worry about it. Just bring it back to the breathing. I will sound the bell 3 times to start and then 3 times at the end. All right, for the next part of our service, we have an opportunity to share joys and concerns. So one of the teachings of the Buddha has to do with the four immeasurables: loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. And so when we share our joys and concerns, there's really an opportunity for us to engage in all those four immeasurables. Loving kindness is to express wishes of love and support for others. Compassion is this idea of wanting others to be relieved from any suffering that they have. Sympathetic joy is this idea that when others are having a good experience, a positive experience in life, we can share in their joy. And then equanimity, the fourth one, it's just this realization that life does have ups and downs. And as we expect that, we don't have to be, thrown way up with, crazy excitement when something good happens, or thrown way down into the dumps when something bad happens. Maybe we can find a middle ground where we can still experience the good and bad of life, but without being thrown around by them and made upset by them. So I want to invite anybody in the Sangha who is interested. We'll have a mic, which you need to speak into in order for our online visitors to hear what you're saying. The mic's not really for here, so you should speak loud even when you're using the mic. But just raise your hand if you have a joy or a concern you would like to share with the Sangha. Thank you. And I'll go ahead and start because I got the mic. My daughter accepted going to Michigan State. So we did a school visit yesterday, and she's going to go to school there. Her sister went there as well. So it's kind of exciting for her to go into that experience and to kind of prepare herself to be more independent. So thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ige Sue. I'm one of the Dharma teachers here. So I have both a concern and a joy. My uncle, who is 94 years old, amazing man, comes from England, played in the Royal British Army brass band, just very interesting person. Recently had a stroke and is recovering. He's actually a very cognizant, very sharp as a tack kind of guy. So he's been living on his own up until about 2 weeks ago. Only 3 years ago did we convince him to stop going on the roof. So you can kind of tell what kind of man he is. So just send your metta his way as he enters into this new phase of his life, which, being independent for as long as he's now in a position where he may not have that anymore. Fortunately, his daughter is a nurse, so he does have somebody in his life who's able to help guide him in some of that. So that's my concern. The joy is the amount of flowers that have been blooming have just been really lovely, and I'm really grateful to have that to come back to the present moment. So thank you. His name is Jim Carter, James Carter, just like the president, Jimmy Carter.
One of our Sangha members did not feel well, and I took her to the emergency room where she's getting good care, and we'll check on her later on, but if we could just keep her in our thoughts.
My name is Jen. I'm newer here, so not many of you know me yet. But I have been fully enrolled now, so I am officially going back to school at a later age for my working towards my master's for education. So that's my joy right now. Excuse me. And also that my son came today as well.
Good morning, Ian. I used to struggle with substance abuse, and up to about a few months ago, I was in the worst physical shape of my life. And upon getting sober, I decided to become a runner, and now I'm in the best physical shape in my life. Yesterday, I ran my first 10K, and it was great. Yeah.
So Dan from Zoom says, just wanted to say thank you. Thank you so much for everything the temple and the Sangha does. I've slowly drifted from the path of mindfulness and relapsed into old thought patterns. I'm thankful for the in-person and Zoom services. Looking forward to seeing you all again soon.
Hello, my name is Ashton Changosu. This is my son Parker. A couple of concerns and a joy. We lost one of our deer chickens last night, so our flock is slowly dwindling. But we may be getting some new ones, so that's something to look forward to. Also, my uncle Mark, my wife's uncle Mark, is dealing with stage 4 pancreatic cancer and seems to be getting the best of him. So Mark Becker, if you could, keep positive thoughts sent his way. And on a positive note, my son Parker and I will be going to Cape Canaveral, Florida to check out the Kennedy Space Center next week. So we're going to talk with an astronaut and looking forward to that. Thank you all.
All right. Any more online or anything? Okay. So we'll have a moment of silence for those joys and concerns. All right, so announcements. I have some announcements here. The board meeting is the third Sunday of each month. So that's today from 11:30 till 1. Meet at the temple via Google Meet or via Google Meet. Buddhist-based recovery meetings Monday at the temple or join via Zoom. Wednesday at the Allen Club at 1020 College Avenue. And Fridays at the temple or join via Zoom. And I think the Friday meets also in the park. April online meditation group is every Wednesday in April. It's meeting at 7:30 to 8:15, and I myself am there, and Igesu is also joining us and some other Sangha members. So we invite you to jump in if you'd like to do that. This Wednesday, we'll have another meeting. We just had the introduction to meditation class yesterday, Igesu, and it was we had a very full crowd for that, so it was wonderful. Exploring Truth Women's Spiritual Wellness Group meets for 5 Sundays starting April 23rd at the temple, 1 to 2:45 p.m. Registration ends April 16th. Silent Meditation Retreat, Reflection on the Shinshin Ming. That will be April 28th through Sunday, April 30th at the Oxbow School of Arts in Saugatuck. And that's an all-day, all-night retreat. It's Friday through Sunday, staying overnight there. And the registration has ended for that as well. But if you're interested in knowing more about it, maybe for next time, Venerable Yang Su is here. He's leading the retreat, and he'd be glad to give you any information if you need. Any other announcements?
Thank you. My name is Katya Sue or Gail, and I am one of the members of the auxiliary club, the auxiliary group. Could the other members, you're laughing, could you put your hand up so we know? Okay. Yes. Yes. You what? Not yeah. There's a number of members. So what we're doing now is we're gathering items for the end of the year online auction. So we're asking people who know of businesses that want to donate. We'll acknowledge them in the online auction. If you have something you would like to donate, or somebody you know, or you're an artist and you know somebody who's an artist, we will acknowledge that in the online auction. And speaking of artists, for those of you that are new, Kunga is an incredible artist, and he has 2 pieces for sale in the front entrance. So I wanted to acknowledge that. Thank you. Yes.
Oh, that's completely asleep. Hello, I'm Jake, and it's my turn to do the Dana announcement. Dana is the Buddhist term for the practice of generosity, and this temple is supported entirely by the generosity of all of you. No one at the temple collects any kind of compensation of any kind. Nobody gets a paycheck. Nobody gets anything financial from it. If you would like to contribute to keeping the temple running, there's a number of ways that you can. There are Dana boxes at either the front entrance and the back entrance as well, where you can leave a check or cash. There's a QR code that links directly to PayPal. For those watching online, there's a drop-down show more option under the video that will send you to a link. And you can also go to zengr.org/donate. If you would like to donate your time or effort, there are a number of people you can talk to. Jan, who is right there, myself, and Ellen as well. Or Kate, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's been a long week. It's been a real long week. But yeah, if you'd like to get involved in helping keep the temple running, keeping it clean, helping with potlucks, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And what's up? Oh, Kent as well. If you are looking to get involved in the tech team. I think that's it. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
So I'll speak a little bit more about Tech Team and the Board of Directors. The Board of Directors is seeking to fill an open seat. The Board of Directors is responsible for governing and managing the business affairs of the temple. As a board member, you'll be able to use your talents and skills to make a positive impact on our temple and community while building relationships and developing professionally. Board members must have completed the preceptors class, have good organization and communication skills, and be willing to serve a 3-year term. Contact any board member if you're interested. Board members, raise your hands. This is Jan Ensing over here, our board president. You can also speak with her or send her an email if you're interested. On the tech team, we're also looking for a volunteer to join the tech team. The tech team sets up the audio and video, produces the Sunday Dharma Talk live streams on Zoom and YouTube. Despite the name, you don't need any special technical skills in order to contribute. Just be comfortable working with a computer. We'll train you on everything that you need to do. We rotate tech duty each week, so you typically would be on duty about 1 Sunday per month. And if you're interested, you can reach out to any of the tech team members here. And so tech team members, raise your hand, please. Am I the only one here today? I guess so. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Before we do our closing gathas, I had one more announcement. Please arrange and fluff your cushion and return them to the space the same way you found it. Cushion handles and tags should face the back of the hall, and the zippers on the mat should be that side. Please return the chant book to the front page and place the incense offering and month chant back in the book when you're done. And we'll have someone going around collecting books. You can just hand them the book there. We do have tea downstairs, so we invite you all to join us after the closing gathas for tea. So please stand. The closing gathas are on page 9. For all
Skillful action ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thoughts, now I atone for them all. Vast is the robe of compassion, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Buddha's teachings for the benefit of all sentient beings. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Endless blind passion, I vow to uproot. Dharma gates without number, I vow to penetrate. The great way of Buddha, I vow to attain.
And I invite the right side here, maybe the left side, and we'll talk to each other. Thank you very much for attending today.
Thank you.